All right, all right. What's going on, everybody? God bless you. Hope y'all are still having a beautiful, blessed day as we give God the honor, the glory, and all the praise. This is just a real talk video right here. My title says, It's hard enough just because the color of my skin. And if you just happen to be white looking at this video, Hispanic, Latino, Japanese, whatever it is, I love you. I don't see no color at all. But I'm going to talk about facts and what's real in this video. See, I wasn't brought up to hate people, even though I've been hated on all of my life because of the color of my skin. And right now, it's a whole lot of white folks that hate me. But at the same time, it's a whole lot of white folks that love me. I get along with people. I'm intelligent enough to sit down and hold a conversation. So I just wanted to just state this off top. I don't care nothing about color in this video. But I want to talk to us for a moment. Black people. Hear me and hear me good in this video. This is just real talk. And the other day, I got a chance to talk with Bob, who is a great guy, white man. You know, some of us can't stand the white man. Well, that's y'all. I love the white man. I love the Mexican man. I love the Japanese man, the whoever man. I don't have no problem with that. And as me and Bob was talking, we kept it real. And we got so deep in the conversations. And I told Bob I was going to share this with the family. And Bob don't care. And we talked about what was real. And then we happened to get on the subject of the update now with Trayvon Martin's case. The George Zimmerman, when he shot Trayvon Martin. Here it is now, we're in 2013. And we see that this is all blowed up over the internet, the news. You see it. This trial is going on. A lot of people are pissed off, mad. And I always have an old saying. I say it's really not no justice. It's just us. Hatred has never left this world. Racism is still here. But I'm not doing this video to talk about racism, but to bring out some facts. Yes, we are judged, black people, a lot of times because of our color. But not every white man or every white woman is racist. And the sad thing is we got black people who can't even stand black people. So the real enemy has nothing to do with color. It's Satan. So I address the real issue. Satan, the devil. That's the real thing. The devil uses whoever. And all of this hatred going on, we still got hate crimes going on, everything. And Bob got to the point where he said, JT, just see if you can feel me for a moment. I said, Bob, go ahead and speak as I listen. And he said, JT, don't get mad at what I'm about to say, but it's just the truth. I said, Bob, go ahead and speak your mind. I'm here. I'm listening. I don't get mad at stuff like that. And Bob got to the point where he was tired of the way his life was going. He got laid off. He got a bunch of family issues. Children wasn't acting right. About to get divorced. He mad at everybody in the world. And he said, JT, how is it? You, every time I see you, you can stay the same. You act like you ain't going through nothing. You just never worry, look like. He said, how is it black people can always go through so much and they don't let it bother them? I said, I have Christ. And I said, in this life, Bob, we're going to have trials and tribulations. Test of my faith. Test of your faith. The Lord never told us it was going to be easy. And I said, if you got God in your life, it shouldn't have nothing to do about you being black. You should have joy regardless of what you're going through, whether you're black, white, it don't matter. And he right. I try my best not to worry. But he said sometimes he think black people got it made easy. And that's when I said, Bob, I understand your complaining. I understand why you feel what you feel. I said, and if you are through talking, may I be allowed to jump in for a moment. And he said, forgive me, JT, out of his most humblest voice. I said, no need to apologize and ask for forgiveness. I said, I've listened at you, but let me talk for a moment, Bob. And he said, go ahead. I say, when you said we haven't made easy, I said, I want you to put yourself in my shoes for a moment. Since you white and I'm black, we got it made easy, according to your last little statement. And I love this man, y'all. Once again, I'm not a racist. I don't care nothing about Bob being white. I said, if you could put yourself in my shoes, you think you complaining now. I say, Bob, you wouldn't last 20 minutes walking in my shoes. I said, since we talking about Trayvon Martin and black and white, we talking about we having a real talk. I said, Bob, do you know every time I get on the elevator in public, white people stare me up and down like I'm about to rob them or beat them up or shoot them. I say when I get on the elevator, the white woman goes to the other side and moves more toward the back and grabs her purse. Like I'm going to attack her or steal her purse. I say, Bob, do you know how they feel? I said, stay with me, Bob. Do you know how they feel? Every time I'm out in public and somebody look at me and think that I'm a gangster when I ain't nothing but a child of God. They think I'm about to start cussing and act ignorant like a lot of us black folks do. That's not me. So don't judge everybody. Let me say that right. Quit judging people, period. But don't look at me because the color of my skin and think that I'm all the way like my people. Once again, my people, I love you. Just telling some truth here. We are some of the most ignorant people walking around here. And I mean it out of love. I hate every time I go somewhere and I see all this loud talking, pants sagging, and women cussing each other out, cussing their children out, fights all in the parking lot. This stuff make me sick to my stomach. And people think, a lot of people think every black person is ignorant like that. And I don't even call it ignorant half the time. I call it being stupid as hell. Because when you know better, you should do better. Ignorant just simply means not knowing. When you know better, then you just being stupid. Flat out a fool. And it hurts my heart every time I gotta see that mess out in public. I say, Bob, do you think we have it made easy once again? I say, Bob, do you know how that feel? I said, let me get a little bit real with you, Bob. If you have never walked in my shoes and went through what I've went through, I said, do you know how it feel to get stopped by white police, harassed by them, and put at gunpoint by them, and hated on because of the color of my skin? I've had a gun pulled on me as a black man, being stopped by the police because they think I'm somebody else. I say, Bob, do you know how it feels to be charged with something you ain't never done before, like raping somebody, and have to deal with a white judge who don't care nothing about you? I say, Bob, I hear you complaining, but you complaining about what you are going through right now at this moment. I say, Bob, I've been dealing with this all my life. All of my life. And I still do not hate white people. I don't hate white people. I love them. I hate Satan. I hate sin. And when Satan can get a hold of you, get off in you, he got your actions once again. Person can get your mind, they already got your actions. Y'all hear me say that a lot. I said, so I heard what you talking about because you done all of a sudden got laid off. I said, well, if you would have walked in my shoes, I grew up very poor. You crying about things at this moment. Things you crying about. I'm looking at you, Bob, like, what's the problem? We talk about recession. We got to talk about that. I say they want to call this a recession. I laugh at it. I've been going through this all of my little bitty life. I said, Bob, I grew up in the hood where everything went down at. Drugs, sex, brothers who would sell dope to their own mama, gangs, shootouts, you name it. Gas off. Get the gas cut back on, the water off. Get the water cut back on, come home, the electricity is off. I thought that was a part of my life. It happened so much. I thought that was really the way it's supposed to be. You got more bills than you got money. Raise your hand if your situation is like that right now. So I said, what are you crying about, Bob? I'm still here and I'm living and worshiping and praising God no matter what. I'm going to serve God. Ain't got time to sit up and complain. I got to proclaim the goodness. Forget about what I went through. I'm glad I went through what I went through growing up. Dealing with the law, police officers, the court systems, all of that mess. With that in God, it helped me be the man that I am today. I don't walk around with the blame game. And if I'm going to blame anybody for faults, I'm going to blame my own self. And Bob didn't have nothing to say after that, but wow. I said, so when you think about it, Bob, what are you complaining about? If we think we are going through something, look at the person next beside you. Go on the corner and look at somebody going through something way worse than you going through. If you really think you going through. If you think you are going through a whole lot, come with me when I go in the hospital and look at some of these children that ain't going to even make it. Some of these people dying, cancer. If you think you're going through, think about that man that's in prison who been locked up all those years for something he didn't even do. And he done missed out on his own family. So me and Bob, the conversation, and Bob, I hope you're looking at this video. I told you I was going to lay it down like cards on the table. Here it is. When I speak real. I ain't got time for all this sugarcoat and trying to tell lies. I'm going to tell it like it is. And I'm not saying this as black to make myself seem like we the only one go through something. No, it don't matter what color you are. I know poor white people, poor people, period. It don't have nothing to do with color, Bob. Nothing to do with color. But I'm just using myself as an example. Like I told you, you complaining about stuff that I laugh at. And I mean that in a good way. So he said, JT, I understand. I said, no, you don't understand. It's hard to understand somebody if you ain't never been where they been. If you ain't never been poor, if you ain't never grown up in the hood, if you ain't never seen people get shot and murdered, if you ain't never sold dope to your own mama, if you ain't never did all this wicked stuff that you see or went through it or lived in it, how you gonna relate to the one you talking to? As I stated on Blog Talk the other night, man, we talked so deep, me and you and Lady D. I said, how can you understand and feel me if you ain't never been drunk before? You ain't never got high before like a lot of people have done. You ain't never went without no meal. See, I didn't have no mansion growing up and a silver spoon placed in my mouth. We struggled. That's why we held on to the little bit of things we had, and we held on to God's unchanging hand. And right now, as the song say, I'm just holding on. I'm still holding on. And I won't let go of my faith. And we got through talking about that. And then we went back to talking about the color of the skin. Bob talked about being white. And then he went back to talking about George Zimmerman, the Trayvon Martin situation. And I listened at Bob. Bob made some real good points. We agreed on a lot of stuff. And when I look at this, I done caught some of this trial. It just disgusts me when I see this mess that they doing. I mean, it do, y'all. It just pisses me off. And I asked Bob, let's talk about some more facts. I said, Bob, let me ask you something. I said, if it was on the other side, if Trayvon Martin would have killed George Zimmerman, what would happen then? They wouldn't have thought twice about locking that black man up and giving him the death penalty. They wouldn't have thought twice. Michael Vick, I hate to go back to this, and I don't have nothing against Michael Vick. I love Michael Vick, love everybody. God bless you. I'm just talking facts. Michael Vick got 23 months in a federal prison for what happened with the dog fighting. 23 months. That's 1 year and 11 months. And then I looked at what Martha Stewart did. Look at what George Zimmerman did. And I just sit back and just laugh. And my laugh is a laugh of anger. Martha Stewart got, 5 months? And look at what she done. And was still allowed to remain free for how long? George Zimmerman shot this young man, took his life, and wasn't even locked up after he did it. Don't tell me it's not no racism still going on. Don't tell me that the justice system is fair, because it's not. Shot this man, took his life, a young man unarmed, still was out free. Come on, y'all. Let's talk facts. See, once again, I'm not doing no racism video. I'm talking facts. I'm reminded of another brother in 2011 by the name of Troy Davis. I did a video about this a while back when it happened. Troy Davis was executed. They executed this black man and the witnesses changed up their stories. It never was a murder weapon found, and we call that a fair trial. Never was a murder weapon found, and witnesses came forth and changed up their stories, telling a whole nother story than what they told before. You know what they did to Troy Davis? Executed him. Lethal injection. You know how many Troy Davises have been executed? Because of the color of our skin. We are never really equal. Yeah, you can go back to slavery and talk about all of that, everything. And when I think about my brothers and sisters who continue to fight amongst each other, it tears my heart up. It tears my heart up. So many people have been executed, and they found out later on the one that was executed didn't even do the crime. I forget this one guy name. I want to say that was in LA or somewhere. I forgot where. But they gave that man lethal injection. And it was to after they killed him, they found out through DNA he wasn't even the one that done the crime. What you gonna do now? The man's life is gone. You took away somebody's father, daddy, somebody's uncle, somebody's brother, somebody's best friend who no longer lives on this earth. What do you tell a family when you go through that? So this color of my skin has made it very hard for me to live in this life. I was just talking to another brother the other day who got out of prison. 23 years, innocent. Spent his whole life locked up behind something he didn't even do. So many black men have been killed by white cops. And there's never a gun on the scene. Look at Jasper, Texas, when they tied what was his name, James Byrd, to the back of that truck and drug him until his body was all broken up. Don't tell me we are not hated on because of our color. Some places right now you still can't go if you're black. We see so much crazy things. We do. I was stopped a couple of years back, and I had an altercation. This is why this Trayvon Martin case, it pisses me off. And then I thought about what I went through with a police officer. Police officer stopped me, pulled me over, never told me why he stopped me. He was following me off the freeway. I looked suspicious to him. He harassed me, called me names, told me to step out of the car. Never said why he stopped me. And as I said, I'm not getting out of the car. For what? And he pulls my door open. Now, if you are a man, then you know what I mean when I say we got quick reflexes. We got very quick reflexes. This man, I have my arm on the door. God is my witness. My little brother was my witness in the next seat. He in the front seat looking. I put my arm on the window, getting ready to go and get out of the car for what reason, I don't know. He grabs my arm, flips it up where it hurt. Now my shoulder really hurt. Pins it behind my back, but of course, this hand right here is still free. So you know what JT did? I started defending myself. True story, y'all. Y'all think I'm lying. I took my right hand as he was shoving me, because my reflexes, without even thinking, defending myself, I took my right hand, and stiff armed the hell out that cop. And I pushed him so hard that he stumbled. And then you know what he did when he stumbled? He drew his gun on me. You know what he did after that? He put his gun in me, slammed me on my trunk on my own car with his knee in my back and said, "Don't move." His exact words was, "Shoot your black ass." Y'all think I'm lying? And I thought about when I was looking at that trial, all that cop had to do, once again, he was white, racist, all he had to do was pull the trigger. And what would have been the cause of him stopping me? Because my car looked suspicious. I looked suspicious. I called it DWB, driving while black. And once everything got squared away, he found out I wasn't who he thought he was, so he let me go. He said, "You don't have no tickets, no warrants, no nothing. Get out of here and have a nice day." Now, what if that gun would have went off? JT wouldn't even be sitting there right now. So when I think about going back to this George Zimmerman thing, if he would have just stood down like they told him, Trayvon probably would still be living right now. See, me and Bob got deep in this conversation. I said, "Don't tell me nothing about being black. I done been black all my life. And it's been hard. It's been very hard. I'm hated on because of this. Hated on." But like I say, going back to George Zimmerman and Trayvon, because some of y'all was asking me about what I thought about the trial, it just made me sick to my stomach. When I think about this mess, it's terrible. Terrible. But this is America. And if you got your trust in this crooked justice system, feel sorry for you. Trayvon Martin was minding his own business. 17 years old and life taken. Be careful who you call your neighborhood watch coordinator. George say he looked suspicious. Looked suspicious. He looked like he up to no good. He looked like he on drugs. Look like. Notice I'm saying look like. So those are assumptions. You make an assumption that he looked like he high. And what's crazy, even crazy, according to the old police report, there was no indication that Trayvon Martin was involved in any criminal activity at that time. They even told George Zimmerman to stand down. You sitting up here acting like a cop, and you ain't even a cop. You want to play police officer all of a sudden. They said stand down. This is what's so overlooked to me. If stand down means stand down, you ain't no cop no way, and you out here with a gun. Young man minding his own business. Go on to the store, get some Skittles, get some iced tea. He looks suspicious because of what he got on. See, we don't look right to a lot of people because of this color. Once again, I'm not making this no racism video. I love everybody. I'm stating facts. We are judged because of our color. If I put on a hoodie right now, does that make me gangster? Or if I put on a do-rag, or even with these glasses on, these shades, do I look deadly? Do I look like I'm a threat to you? Because I got these, or if I had on a hoodie? Without the hoodie, without the clothes, we still are looked at because of our skin. This young man was unarmed, no weapons, nothing on him at all. Just like a partner of mine got killed right across the street at the gas station in broad daylight, shot up by a police officer. See, this stuff happens every day. It ain't just Trayvon Martin. It happens every day. Shot up at the right across the street. I can throw a rock. I'm so close. I'm right across the street when it happened. Heard the shots. Look across the street. Partner Dino laying on the ground, dead. They say he had a gun. He looked suspicious. Never found the gun on the scene. You know what they did to the police officer? They promoted him. Let me leave that alone before I get mad. So when they told this man to stand down, that's what he should have done. But when you get to trying to take matters in your own hand, look at what happened. How do you explain this to his parents? Your baby boy is dead now at 17. How do you explain that? And then what even pisses me off even more, they start going back trying to dig up all kind of stuff. Oh, now they're saying Trayvon Martin was a weed head. Come on, y'all. Putting up all kind of stuff. What in the hell they got to do with this young man being killed? Unarmed, no weapons, minding his own business. Now, I can see if Trayvon was breaking in somebody's house and had a gun. Still, though, George Zimmerman, you ain't no cop. You should have stayed in your car and mind your own business. But this is America, y'all. This is America. Trayvon looked suspicious. Looked like he was suspicious. Up to no good. And I laugh because when they pulled up George Zimmerman's background, his background was so terrible. And they sitting up here talking about Trayvon Martin background. Have y'all caught up with a lot of this stuff? And then look at all the money that has been raised for George Zimmerman. Here it is, he's still alive. And yet, Trayvon's parents got to think about every day that go by that their son is no longer here. He's dead. And justice ain't quite, it ain't even what, it ain't seem, justice ain't even been served. Let me say it like that. Now, can you imagine the pain and the suffering that his Trayvon parents is going through? In 2005, George Zimmerman was charged with assaulting a police officer. Back in '05. Y'all feel me? He resisted arrest. He pushed the officer. You know what happened? The charges was reduced, then dropped. As a matter of fact, his ex-fiancee filed a restraining order against him. They said it was domestic violence. I'm talking about facts now. And remind you, George Zimmerman's daddy was a judge, used to be a judge. So don't tell me the law is fair, because it's not. I have never had it made easy because of the color of my skin. Even right now, to this day, I'm still stopped by the police for no reason at all. And when I was stopped last time, once again, where you coming from? Do you have any drugs or weapons in your car? What are you up to? Coming from church? Ain't got no drugs in my car. I got music equipment. There's my keyboard right there. There's an amplifier. Every black man ain't selling dope. But once again, because of this, I look suspicious. I hate the way the world is, I do. But this is the way it is. Earth, Wind, and Fire, that old song called The Way of the World. That's the way of the world. This young man, Trayvon, see, I'm blessed to be alive and say I didn't get shot by a cop. And all he had to do was just say the trigger, we got to fight. Wasn't nobody else out there. And who you think they're going to believe, me or the officer? Especially if I'm put in front of a white judge half of the time. See, the reason why I'm saying it's not about racism, and I'm keeping it real, because I know from dealing with the system, you got too many crooked lawyers, crooked judges, crooked police officers. It don't have nothing to do with their color. They can be black, white, Hispanic, and they can be crooked, no matter what their color is. Once again, I'm stating facts. The fact is, this young man is gone now. Trayvon is gone because of another man's actions and assumptions. If he would have stayed in the car, Trayvon probably would still be living. But he wanted to get out of the car and play hero to somebody that wasn't even a threat. They even said, "Are you following that young man? Are you following him?" He said, "Yeah." They said, "Stand down." You know what George Zimmerman kept doing? Following him. He was gonna make the man do. He was gonna make Trayvon be guilty of something. I'm looking at all these so-called facts they talking about against this case. Don't none of it add up. One guy even said, when they was talking about he was being beaten by Trayvon so badly, one guy said that was almost even impossible because he was still on the phone with the police at that time having a conversation with 911. Now, if you getting beat up that damn bad, how can you talk? And see, and I'm going to speak real, because if somebody follows me, keep following me, and I haven't done nothing wrong, I'm going to turn around and ask them, "What's up? What you following me for? I haven't done nothing wrong. What's up?" I don't like being followed. I would have done the same thing Trayvon done. I would have turned around and be like, "What's up? What you following me for?" Nobody really knows what went down except who was there. And we got all these lies out. Oh, it was self-defense. See, it's too much could go wrong and stuff like that. And by nobody else really being there. We got few witnesses. Some say Trayvon was beating the hell out of George Zimmerman. Some say it was George Zimmerman on top of Trayvon. You got all these mixed up stories. Who did what? The fact remains is we still got a young man who's dead that didn't do nothing wrong. And if I feel my life is in danger and you come up and attack me, I'm going to fight to save my life. Oh, yeah. That'd have been me out there, I'd have been fighting to save my life. Man pull a gun out on me, I'm already thinking that I'm finna die, so I'm gonna do everything that I can to stop me from dying. It's gonna be me or him. Oh, I would have beat the hell out of George Zimmerman. Trust me. He would have had to kill me too. Chasing me down, I haven't done nothing wrong. See, it's the wrong people with the wrong guns. Trayvon would have been 18 years old on February, and he never got a chance. Then he would get a chance to live another day. I'm just answering some questions, y'all, and having a real talk video right here once again about the color of my skin, some of the stuff I've went through, and Trayvon Martin. Have you looked at any of this trial? All that money they taken up. And I just feel so sorry when I think about Trayvon's parents. They're raising all that money to help George Zimmerman. Look at how much they done took up. You can't pay for Trayvon Martin to come back to life. You can't pay his parents enough. I don't care how much money you got. You can't pay them enough for the pain that they are feeling behind their son. So what's real, y'all? What's really real? We living in this jacked up world, and we got to deal with it. There's nothing pretty about it at all. It's getting worse and worse. That's why I say, once again, I don't see color. Just like I was talking about the little black 6-year-old girl who was just killed. I feel sorry for the white 6-year-old girl that just got murdered. They ain't found out who did it yet. So when I see color, whether it's a white girl or a black girl or a Hispanic child or a Japanese child, a Chinese child, my heart is going to go out to whatever the race is. Because I know that that's somebody's child. When I see this stuff on the news, that's somebody's parent. That's some man that's being tossed in prison for years, and he'll never see his daughter grow up. My heart goes out to them. So I done made this video long enough, just a, once again, real talk video. My prayers are with everybody, y'all. Don't matter who you are, what color you are. And as I close, let's remember this. Satan is going to continue to get more and more busy. That's a fact. That's the word of God. That's the truth. We got to just stand bold and pray it up and live in this life of Christ the best way we know how. Because truth be told, it could be your son murdered next. It could be your daughter raped next. It could be your father thrown in prison for something he didn't do. Let us learn from yesterday. Live for the day. Hope and pray for tomorrow. God bless you.